Chapter 633. Mr. Hu, I want to apologize to you for my stupidity in the past. When Jian Dongming said this, his face was full of shame. He remembered that he was so shameless that he hoped Jian Yun would agree to let Lin Lanlin serve Hu Liancheng as well, and let the sisters serve the same husband. Now that he thought about it, he had really been bewitched by a ghost back then. That was why he had thought of such a shameless idea. Hu Liancheng did not know what to say. He could only nod his head in acceptance. Mr. Hu, Yunduo is a good child. She has been a good child ever since she was young. I was the one who was bewitched and treated her and her mother badly. I have no chance to make up for it. I only hope that you can treat her well. After saying that, Jian Dongming nodded at Hu Liancheng and looked deeply at Jian Yun. He then turned around and dragged his heavy shackles as he was escorted by the prison guard and slowly walked away. Jian Yun stood where she was and looked at Jian Dongming's gradually disappearing figure. The scene of her acting like a spoiled child when she was still young and following her father, who was strong and tall in her eyes, flashed before her eyes. She stood there for a long time, and her eyes were inexplicably sore. Jian Yun and Hu Liancheng returned to their homes in the imperial capital. Their daily lives were busy and fulfilling. When Qi was almost 5 months away, Granny Liao suddenly looked at Jian Yun one day. She looked like she wanted to say something but wanted to say something. What's wrong? Grandma, what is it? At that time, Jian Yun had just finished feeding Qi milk. When she looked up and saw that Granny Liao seemed to have something to say, she asked first. Yun, let me ask you, has Liancheng not been to the hospital until now? Granny Liao frowned and asked in a deep voice. Why did he go to the hospital? He is in good health. There is nothing wrong with him. Jian Yun did not understand. No, I did not say Liancheng was sick. What I meant was, did he not go to the hospital to see his mother until now? Granny Liao sighed. Both of her hands were twisted together. Clearly, she was in a bad mood. Jian Yun's eyes flashed and she lowered her head. When you have time, try to persuade him. Even if Shen Fangqi has committed countless mistakes, she still gave birth to Liancheng. Now that her arms and legs are crippled, it can be considered as retribution for the things she did for helping the evil. I heard that she is currently in a very poor state of mind and has the tendency to commit suicide. Granny Liao said as she wiped her eyes. When Hu Xiangqian pursued Shen Fangqi back then, she firmly opposed it. Although she could not persuade Hu Xiangqian later and reluctantly agreed to their marriage, it also caused Shen Fangqi to not have a good relationship with her after entering the door. As Shen Fangqi's mother-in-law, she did not do enough from the beginning. Granny Liao felt that if she could care more about Shen Fangqi back then, she might not have made such a mistake. I tried to persuade him, but Liancheng's character Grandma, you also know, sigh. Jian Yun also sighed. Of course she had tried to persuade Hu Liancheng. When Yuzi heard Hu Qingcheng say those words, she had been trying to persuade Hu Liancheng. No matter how much he hated Shen Fangqi, at least for the sake of her giving birth to him, he should go and see her. However, from the initial rejection of Hu Liancheng to the later agreement on the surface, there was no actual action. Now, as long as she mentioned bringing Qi to see Grandma, she would not respond and even change the topic. Jian Yun was at her wit's end. She had also thought of bringing Qi to see Shen Fangqi, but she was worried that doing so would make Hu Liancheng feel uncomfortable, so this matter was delayed. Now, he can only listen to what you say. He doesn't care what we say. Yun, Grandma wants to ask you to think of something. When Granny Liao thought about the people and matters of the Hu family, she felt very uncomfortable. Okay, I will try to persuade him again. Jian Yun nodded and comforted Granny Liao. Then she thought of another question. Grandma, how is Dad doing? Jian Yun was talking about Hu Xiangqian. Sigh, what else can he do? He lived alone in Switzerland and did not want to come back. When Granny Liao mentioned Hu Xiangqian, she seemed to have aged a little. She kept sighing. I have such a bad temper in my life. He has a bad temper. Xiangqian was probably taken care of by the two of us since he was young. He has always been a little weak, but I never thought that he could do this for a woman. When Granny Liao said this, she suddenly felt that it was not good to say this in front of Jian Yun. Hu Xiangqian was digging his heart out for Shen Fangqi, and Hu Liancheng was also the same to Jian Yun. Hu Liancheng even became more serious. For Jian Yun, he did not even care about his own life. Sigh, perhaps this is the fate of the men from the Hu family, Granny Liao muttered to herself. Once a man from the Hu family fell in love with someone, he would be in love for the rest of his life. Grandma, children have their own children and grandchildren. Don't think too much about it. Jian Yun could not think of anything to comfort Granny Lao. This old man had experienced too much in his life. Yes, you are right. Granny Liao wiped the corners of her eyes and looked at the spots on the back of her aged hand. She smiled bitterly and said, I am also old. I don't even know how long I can live. Why care so much? Grandma, don't talk nonsense. You are going to live a long life. Jian Yun felt that these words were unlucky and hurriedly interrupted Granny Liao's words. Yeah. Xu seemed to agree with his mother's words. He waved his chubby hands and smiled sweetly at Granny Liao. Granny Liao's heart was suddenly touched. Ayo, my little darling. Come, let me hug you. Jian Yun looked at Granny Liao, who had regained her smile, but she did not miss the deep sadness in her eyes. Hu Liancheng had told Jian Yun that Granny Liao and Old Master Hu had divorced because Granny Liao could not bear to be deceived by Old Master Hu for the rest of her life. She could not bear to be deceived by Old Master Hu for so many years. On the surface, Old Master Hu ignored them, but in reality he took good care of them, even to the extent of indulging them. The reason why Hu Chengfeng was so arrogant and unbridled was because Old Master Hu had turned a blind eye to it. Granny Liao had always been unyielding. She knew that she was not a petty person. Back then, she only knew that Old Master Hu had a lover before she got married. But she did not know that when they broke up, that woman was already pregnant. Thinking about it many years later, Granny Liao only felt deeply humiliated, so she did not want to report it and divorce again. Her divorce with Old Master Hu was very high profile, and it was also in line with Granny Liao's usual style. At that time, there was a heated discussion in the capital. The once greatest family in the capital, the Hu family, was no longer in existence. The entire Hus had been swallowed by Hu Liancheng's cloud group. Now, there was only the cloud group and no Hus anymore. 2 days later, Hu Liancheng came back from work. Jian did not tell him about seeing Shen Fangqi immediately. Instead, she served him gently and wholeheartedly. She cooperated with him and did what he loved to do. When he was both physically and mentally satisfied, she laid on his body while panting lightly. As she drew circles, she said casually, Dear, today, I pushed Qi to the park to bask in the sun. I met an aunt with the surname Gong. She liked Qi very much the moment she saw him. She even said that she was an old acquaintance of your family. Do you know this person? Auntie Gong? Hu Liancheng grabbed Jian Yun's small hands and played with them gently. He frowned and thought for a while. Is she not tall with big eyes and a mole at the corner of her mouth? Yes. Jian Yun's eyes sparkled. I think she is very learned and interesting. She also likes her very much. He smiles at her. Oh, she is a professor at Imperial University. Of course she is knowledgeable. Hu Liancheng said lightly. What are you thinking? Jian Yun saw that Hu Liancheng didn't speak, so she raised her head to look at him. Nothing. Hu Liancheng quickly hid the expression in his eyes. He rubbed Jian Yun's hair and said gently, Go to sleep. I can't sleep. Jian Yun was acting coquettishly in Hu Liancheng's arms. I slept with Qi for too long in the afternoon. I'm not sleepy at all now. Hu Liancheng raised his eyebrows. Do you want to do it again? Sure. Jian Yun giggled and hooked her finger at Hu Liancheng. The two of them fought again. However, Jian Yun also noticed that Hu Liancheng was obviously distracted while fighting hard. She thought in her heart, it should be because of her words. The next day was Saturday. Hu Liancheng did not go to work and spent the whole day at home with his wife and son. Jian Yun had something on her mind and wanted to see him from time to time. But after waiting for a day, she did not wait for Hu Liancheng to say anything. She could not help being anxious. When she went to sleep at night, Hu Liancheng did not come to the sky-breaking desolate lands to take the initiative to sleep with her. After reading a book for a while, he turned off the lights and lay down to sleep. Jian Yun tossed and turned in the darkness. In the end, she could not help but prop herself up and lie on Hu Liancheng's shoulder. She tugged at him. Hey, are you asleep? Hu Liancheng found it funny in his heart, but he pretended to be extremely sleepy. He forced himself to open a slit in his eye. Do you have plans for tomorrow? Jian Yun looked at Hu Liancheng's expression and could not help but wonder. Did she misunderstand last night? Actually, he did not hear anything. Oh, I have to go to the company and hold a video conference call. Why? Hu Liancheng reached out and wrapped his arm around Jian Yun. He put his big hand on her smooth shoulder. He narrowed his eyes and looked at her with the light from the corner of his eye. It seemed that she really thought too much last night. Her hints did not work at all. Either Hu Liangsheng understood, but he still did not mean it. Xian Yun suddenly did not know what to say. She could only pretend as if nothing had happened and shake her head gloomily. It's okay. Go to sleep. Hu Liangsheng could not help but raise the corner of his mouth. Originally, he wanted to tease Jian Yun, but when he saw her turn over and look so depressed, he could not bear it anymore. Come here. Hu Liangsheng stretched out his hand. No. Jian Yun moved further away and her voice was muffled. Yes, she was very angry. She tried every possible way to come up with the idea of meeting Shen Fangqi's best friend, and then hinted to Hu Liangsheng to find out what Aunt Gong had said to her. In the end, he did not care at all. How could she not be angry? Are you really not coming over? Hu Liangsheng curled the corner of his mouth and leaned forward with his upper body. He deliberately said, Then I don't know when you will meet Aunt Gong again next time. Jian Yun immediately sat up when she heard him. In the end, she just happened to bump into Hu Liangsheng's chin. In an instant, she felt dizzy and dizzy. She could not see anything clearly. Ouch! Jian Yun cried out in pain. I'll rub it for you. Hu Liangsheng was amused and distressed as he reached out to rub Jian Yun's forehead. He teased her. Is this too exciting? Jian Yun rolled her eyes at Hu Liangsheng and did not want to bother with him. Of course, she could tell that Hu Liangsheng had already guessed what she was thinking. That was why he deliberately ignored her at night and waited for her to take the bait to find him. Does it still hurt? Hu Liangsheng's chin was also hit, but the man's skin was thick and he was fine. Jian Yun, on the other hand, was the one who cried. Jian Yun did not try to cover it up. She hugged Hu Liangsheng and bit his chin. Are you kidding me? Hu Liangsheng raised his eyebrows. Who told you to be so roundabout? Jian Yun pouted. It's because you are not going to let me in. I have no other choice. Why do you want me to see her so much? Hu Liangsheng rubbed Jian Yun's hair and looked at her. No matter what she did, she is still your mother. I heard Grandma and Auntie Gong say that it's not that your mother doesn't love you, it's just that she... Jian Yun looked at Hu Liangsheng. She did not continue. She said, I know that saying this may be a moral kidnapping, so I have never forced you. But sometimes people who have nothing to do can understand more clearly. I feel sorry. Jian Yun suddenly could not continue. She held Hu Liangsheng's face and kissed him with a face full of guilt. I am sorry. I will not force you. We do not care about other people's gazes. Actually, Jian Yun had always known that Hu Liangsheng also had feelings for Shen Fangqi. It was only because of the long distance and indifference, as well as Shen Fangqi's unconditional indulgence of Hu Chengfeng. It hurt his heart. On the surface, Hu Liangsheng seemed to be very unfriendly to Shen Fangqi. If he abandoned the relationship between her and his mother, he did not do anything wrong. Shen Fangqi had indeed broken the law. She had to take responsibility for what Hu Chengfeng had done so crazily. I don't want to see her because I'm afraid that I will soften my heart when I see her. Hu Liangsheng rarely explained to Jian Yun. At this moment, his handsome face had a desolate expression. He actually looked very depressed. Soft heart? Jian Yun was surprised. Hu Liangsheng's words meant that he did not want Shen Fangqi to go to jail as well. One of her arms and one leg are gone. Half of her face is ruined. She loves beauty so much. How can she bear such a blow? Hu Liangsheng smiled bitterly. How could he be as heartless as Jian Yun and the others thought? He hated Shen Fangqi. He hated Shen Fangqi. They were both her sons. The treatment he and Hu Chengfeng received was completely different. It was like heaven. One was earth. No matter how much he had, no more than the absence of such a mother's love. However, at the same time, Hu Liangsheng also longed to get his mother's attention. This feeling had existed since he was a sensible person, but no matter how much he did, he couldn't get what he wanted. It was precisely because of this that he left the Hus. That place made him feel no sense of belonging. Liangsheng, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have misunderstood you. Jian Yun and Hu Liangsheng only needed one look to understand each other's feelings. Hu Liangsheng's few simple words made her heart ache. I don't blame you. Hu Liangsheng could not bear to blame Jian Yun. She had good intentions, and she had experienced it herself. Her feelings for Jian Dongming were also complicated. Actually, I did not want to have a child back then because of her. I feel that I have been ignored since I was young. My heart has always been very unhealthy. I hate her for giving birth to me, but she does not care about me. Then why did she give birth to me? That's why I don't like children. I've never liked them." When Hu Liancheng said this, his eyes were a little confused, as if he had remembered a long time ago. The little boy had watched his mother treat the other child so well, but she was so cold to him. At that time, he did not want to think about his feelings anymore. "Liancheng, I understand. Xian Yun hugged Hu Liancheng in pain. "I will never leave you if you have me." Hu Liancheng called Jian Yun gently. That's right. Fortunately, he met her. She was the one who saved him from despair. If it wasn't for her, he would have been dispirited a long time ago. Go to sleep. Jian Yun patted Hu Liancheng's broad back. She did not want to mention anything about Shen Feiangqi to make him unhappy. Hu Liancheng kissed Jian Yun. The two of them hugged each other as if they were connected. They did not speak for a night. The next morning, Jian Yun woke up very early. She was an angel baby. He had lost his night milk in 100 days. This allowed Jian Yun to sleep well at night. But the first thing she did when she woke up in the morning was to feed her. After serving her son, Jian Yun went to wash up. When she came out, she saw that Hu Liancheng had also woken up. The two of them snuggled together for a period of time. After they finished breakfast, Hu Liancheng went out to the company. Jian Yun did not ask any more questions. It was only an hour and a half later that she received a call from Hu Liancheng. "I'll wait for you at the door. Bring Qi out." "Where to?" Jian Yun asked. "We'll talk about it later," Hu Liancheng said in a deep voice and hung up the phone. Jian Yun did not think too much about it. She packed up and carried Cho. The maid carried her bag. She saw Hu Liancheng's car parked outside the door. Cheng Mu saw Jian Yun from afar and immediately welcomed her. He took the bag and put it on the passenger seat. He opened the back door for Jian Yun. Jian Yun carried Qi into the car and found Hu Liancheng was wearing earphones. There was a laptop in front of him, and he was having a video call with someone. Seeing her come in, he made a gesture. Jian Yun did not disturb him and put Che in the safety basket. She started to tease him. Qi grabbed his toothpaste and bit it. When he saw his mother's hand reach over, he immediately reached out his chubby little hand to grab it. Cheng Mu started the car. A few minutes later, Hu Liancheng also ended the video call. Qi was obviously very happy to see Hu Liancheng. He kept making sounds in his mouth. Jian Yun knew very well that it was just a child's voice. He did not know the meaning of this word. It was just because the sound of the ba and the ma was the easiest to make. But she was still unhappy. Clearly, he was the one who accompanied this kid the most every day. He actually only knew how to call his father and not his mother. Hu Liancheng happily poked Chu's chubby face with his finger. "Good boy," Jian Yun added, "little white wolf." Hu Liancheng reached out and wrapped his arm around Jian Yun's slim waist. He was so angry that he laughed. Are you jealous?" Jian Yun rolled her eyes at Hu Liancheng. "No." The smile on Hu Liancheng's face grew wider. Cheng Mu sniffed in response. "But I smell a big sour smell." Jian Yun wanted to retort, but before she could say anything, she smiled first. These two men, one was her husband and the other was her son. What kind of jealousy did she have? "Where are you taking us?" Jian Yun saw that the route was heading towards the city, so she casually asked Hu Liancheng. "The hospital." Hu Liancheng said. "Where do you feel uncomfortable?" Jian Yun immediately became nervous. She held Hu Liancheng's hand and checked him up and down. "Aren't you fine when you went out in the morning?" "I'm not sick." Hu Liancheng held Jian Yun's hand and looked at her. He said in a deep voice, "Go and see her." Jian Yun heard him and was stunned. Her eyes were wide open. She looked at Hu Liancheng as if she could not understand who he was talking about. You don't need to." Jian Yun immediately came back to her senses. The first thing she thought of was whether Hu Liancheng did this because of her. "It's not because of you. I have thought it through. Running away is not a way. I should go and see her." Hu Liancheng pinched Jian Yun's hand. His expression was calm. There was not the slightest bit of reluctance. Jian Yun did not feel any better because of Hu Liancheng's comfort. Instead, she felt even more sorry for him. "All right, don't think so much." Hu Liancheng frowned and looked at Cho. "I didn't want to take Qi to the hospital. After all, the hospital has a lot of germs. When we get to the hospital later, we will go straight to the hospital through the special passageway. Don't worry. Everything has been arranged." Cheng Mu turned back and smiled. When they arrived at the hospital, Jian Yun covered Qi with a blanket. Hu Liancheng carried Che. Cheng Mu's had called the hospital director a long time ago. As soon as they got out of the car, the director welcomed them and led them to the VIP channel. Shen Fangqi's ward was on the 15th floor. Due to the serious case that she was involved in, there were female police officers guarding the ward 24/7. But at the same time, because Shen Fangqi's identity was special, she could still be in the hospital to recuperate and not be imprisoned like ordinary criminals. The female police officer had obviously received orders from her superior. When she saw Hu Liancheng and the others coming over, she immediately stood up and opened the door to the ward. She did not stop them. The hospital director stepped forward and pushed open the door. Xian Yun saw Hu Liancheng's brows furrow, but he still walked in first. Xian Yun followed behind Hu Liancheng. After she entered, Cheng Mu's also followed in. The door closed behind her. Xian Yun saw Shen Fangqi sitting in a wheelchair with her back to this side. She was looking out of the window in a daze. When she heard the sound, she did not turn her head. She only saw that figure was pitifully thin. The dean walked over first. The nurse also came out of the washroom at this time. When she saw so many people, the middle-aged woman was shocked. Then, when she saw Hu Liancheng, she became fearful and fearful. Mr. Hu! This call of Mr. Hu made Shen Fangqi's body shake. Xian Yun saw that her hand that was placed on the wheelchair suddenly tightened, and veins appeared on the back of her hand. You all go out first, Hu Liancheng said plainly. Yes. The dean and the nurse bowed and nodded. They turned around and walked out. Xian Yun's attention had always been on Shen Fangqi, so she did not miss Shen Fangqi's trembling body when she heard Hu Liancheng's voice. Auntie, fourth brother's fourth sister-in-law, brought the baby to see you. Cheng Mu's walked over and greeted Shen Fangqi with a smile. He also understood that Hu Liancheng would not take the initiative to come over. This matter could only be done by him. Shen Fangqi was so excited that her entire body was trembling. She could not hold it in anymore. Her trembling hands turned the wheelchair around and turned around. She looked at the family of three standing a few meters away from her. When her eyes swept over Hu Liancheng, Xian Yun's eyes were already wet. When she fell into Hu Liancheng's embrace, when she opened her big black eyes and looked at her eyes finally could not help but shed tears. Xian Yun also saw Shen Fangqi's appearance clearly at this time. Her right face was seriously burned and looked very terrifying. Even if she used her hair to cover it, she could not cover that terrifying appearance. But this could not compare to her missing right arm and right leg. Yes, Shen Fangqi's right forearm and right leg were all blown up in the explosion and could only be amputated. She went from a noble and beautiful woman who had countless wealth and became a disfigured cripple in a single night. This difference was like the difference between heaven and earth. Xian Yun could not bear to look anymore. She suddenly understood why Hu Liancheng did not want to come here. Xian Yun also saw the corner of Hu Liancheng's mouth tightly pursed. She knew that he was definitely not in a good mood at the moment. The atmosphere in the ward was a little stagnant for a moment.